Hello everyone, and for the first time in a little while, welcome back to some Warhammer Underworlds Classic, and I have not forgotten that you like these to be kept brief, so I'm not going to blather. Let's go look at the two sides and get things started. Today is the Storm of Celestus versus the Gorechosen of Dromm. The Storm of Celestus is made up of Draken Celestus, who is front and centre of your screen. To screen left we have Aphis the Brave, screen right we have Melisson Starsighted, and then at the back they have their pet Sleek, who can warn them and give them guard tokens depending on how close he is when people attack. Second time or third time on the channel, and from one of the starter boxes with the horse ghosts. And the Gorechosen of Dromm are three of Khorne's bravest warriors. Dromm himself in the middle, and to screen right we have the Gore Hulk, which is probably the best model in the group, and then we have Skullgrinder Herrick. They get their rage tokens, they start the game, or blood tithe potions, I think, tokens rather is the actual name. Once they get 3, that's their Inspire condition, and I did forget to mention the Inspire condition for the Celestus team. It is that they succeed with their great bow attack that they can only use once per round. So with that, we'll get set up and be back. And just like that, we are all set up and good to go, and it will be the Storm of Celestus going first. We'll flip the objectives in a second. We have Melisson down here with Sleek, we have Celestus himself, and up at the top there we have Aphis the Brave. And then over here, Dromm is here, Herrick is here, Gorechosen is here. They're staying together and he's staying far back. They've got range 3 on their once per turn crossbows. So with that, for the benefit of the camera, I guess we'll just start here because this is where I am. This is objective 1 and 3, and then in No Man's Land we have objective 5, and then we have 4 and 2 over here. So with that, we will jump into round 1 of 3 and get started after this quick word from my channel sponsor. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. The Storm of the Celestus got started by activating Melisson Starsighted, and they just did a simple move action to move 1 square onto objective 2. However, a couple of cards got played after that. Nothing got played by the Gorechosen of Dromm. First, Swift Step was used in the Gambit step. Choose 1 friendly fighter, push him 1 hex. Or you can push them 2 if it was Sleek. It was Sleek that was selected, however he did only get pushed 1 from there to be in between those 2 and standing on objective 4. As I say, Gorechosen of Dromm passed, so right back to Celestus. They used Lighting Flare, which is hopefully in focus. Play this only in your power step. In the next activation, enemy fighters cannot target fighters that are 2 or more hexes away. So it's forcing them getting into their face. That only really applies to Dromm. The other 2 are going to be in your face anyway, but just a little bit of extra protection as we go over to their first activation. Sending that flare up was a bit more annoying from the Gorechosen than originally expected. The Gore Hulk activated and just did a movement action. He has up to 3. He moved 2 into No Man's Land on objective 5. To offer him a bit more protection though, in the power step, Skin of Brass is being prayed by Dromm, so you can only do it if Dromm is on the table still. It's a prayer. Choose 1 friendly fighter. He's choosing the Gore Hulk. -1 damage to attack actions that target that chosen fighter to a minimum of 1. This persists until the end of the round, or until damage is actually dealt to the fighter. So I'm giving the Gore Hulk a little bit of extra protection. He and Dromm have 5 health, just as a reminder, and Skullgrinder Herrick has 4, and all the humans on the other side have 4 health, and Sleek has 3. Before we cover activation 2 for the Storm of Celestus, they actually have scored their first glory after the first activation for the Gorechosen ended. They scored Crucial Objective, which was, it's a surge, score immediately after the opponent's activation if your warband holds objectives 2 and 4, which they do. That's why Sleek was moved where he was. It's 1 glory, and that puts them on the scoreboard, simple as that. So they start this round with 1 glory, and as far as activations go, Aphis the Brave activated and did a charge action. He got point blank to the Gore Hulk, and despite being point blank, used that thunderous crossbow, or sorry, thunderhead crossbow, the once per round thing. Range 3, 3 dice, oh it's actually 2 dice. He rolled too many dice, but that doesn't matter because it did nothing. It was fully blocked by the Gore Hulk. So that also means Skin of Brass is still in effect because it did no damage. The 1 glory they earned at the end of the enemy activation is being spent on Reconqueror, which is just +1 move, and it is being given to Melisson. So her down there, she is now +1 move. Apparently neither side is allowed to land any successful hits today. The second activation for the Gorechosen was Herrick's charge action from where he started over to here. With the support of the Gore Hulk, he still only managed 1 success. He was looking for hammers on 2 dice, and it was successfully blocked because Apis is looking for shields. They're all looking for shields except Sleek. Welcome back, Warhammer Underworlds, where nobody ever lands a hit. Next activation was Celestus himself. He did a charge in order to get point blank to the Gore Hulk, and then used his Thunderhead crossbow, 2 dice, looking for hammers for 2 damage, point blank, and he managed to roll 2 double successes, 2 double supports. He has single support, so unfortunately nothing. Rolled the Gore Hulk's defense dice just because, and it turns out he would have blocked it anyway. Oh boy, I swear somebody will injure somebody sooner or later. Second last activation of round 1 for the Gorechosen, it was Dromm. He did a charge action to get to where you can see him just before no man's land. He has range 2 because he's firing corn magic, I guess. And shot it into Melisson down here. 2 dice looking for hammers and didn't get any success at all. And they don't have any cards to play. So big whiff of an activation there. Finally, we've had some blood drawn. Final activation of round 1 for the Storm of Celestus was Melisson again. Only had a movement action, which just means they can't do a charge. So she could do her great bow attack. She hasn't done it yet. She shot it into Dromm, got 1 success, and he whiffed his defense roll. So that is 2 of his 5 health. No cards scored off of that, however, it is the Inspire condition, so Melisson is inspired now. I'm not really sure what changes on her side. She gets +1 dice if she's holding objectives. So she's just made her position even stronger. So that's not too bad, actually. As a matter of note, Dromm got his second Blood Tithe counter there because it's if they take damage or receive damage that they get them. Anyway, final activation of round 1 for the Gorechosen of Dromm was the Gore Hulk. He only had a movement action, so he can do an attack action, and he swung into Draken Celestus himself, managed to get a crit, and there was no success on the defense roll at all, so that is 3 damage. He was looking for swords, for the record, to do his choking grip or whatever it's called for the 3 damage, but the crit obviously trumped all that. In the power phase, no cards being played by the Gorechosen. However, Healing Tempest is being played. There we go in focus. Choose 1 friendly fire and roll 1 defense die. On the roll of a shield, heal 2, otherwise heal 1. So we're going to see now what happens. It actually rolled the shield. Well, so 2 of that damage goes away, and Celestus just has 1 damage on him. Now that does still mean that another 3 damage grip from the Gore Hulk would kill him, but he's not in as bad a position as he just was as we go into the end phase for round 1. So at the end of round 1, the Storm of Celestus are scoring no additional cards, unfortunately for them. They really needed one of those point blank shots to land, so they're ending round 1 with that single point off of holding objectives 2 and 4. The Gorechosen of Dromm, who didn't score anything during the round, are scoring in the end phase, however. Glorious Battle, which is worth 2 glory, so it's actually put them into the lead by 1. Scores in end phase if 4 or more fighters, friend or foe, each have 1 or more charge tokens and or 1 or more Blood Tithe counters. Obviously the 3 of them have Blood Tithe counters, 2 of the 3 of them have charge tokens, and 2 of the enemy also have charge tokens. So that criteria is met. As we go into round 2, they are ahead by a single glory point. As we begin round 2 of 3, it was the Gorechosen of Dromm who won activation. So the Gore Hulk activated and just decided to try that crushing grip again on Celestus to just remove him. 2 dice looking for swords. He got a crit again, and although Celestus got a successful defense roll, it wasn't a crit. So he takes enough damage that he dies. That is exactly 3 damage. That's unfortunately how much health he had left. So that is 1 glory for the kill, but also 1 glory, looking it out, for scoring a puissant strike. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. A poignant strike, let's say. Surge, score this immediately after a friendly fighter's attack action, takes an enemy fighter out of action if the damage dealt was precisely enough. He had 3 health left, and the Gore Hulk's crushing grip does 3 damage. So that scores for that. Haven't handled the power phase yet because we also have to cover. That gives him his 3rd Blood Tithe counter, so he is also now on his inspired side. Well, in the power step, no cards played by the Storm of Celestus, who are now sans the Celestus, but 3 cards being played by the Gorechosen. 2 of them are upgrades, and both upgrades are being given to the Gorehulk. He's being given the ability to retaliate, so we'll cover that if he's actually attacked again, and we'll cover what it does then. And he's also being given Final Frenzy. We have seen this before with them on. It essentially means the first time they would die, they do not die, so it's a really, really good card for a 6 health model that's worth 2 glory if he actually does die. And also Domain of Wrath is being put into play. It is a domain prayer that has to be done by Dromm. When activated, fighters must make a charge action if they can. This effect persists until the end of the next activation or until another domain gambit is played. When you play this card, you can remove 1 blood tithe counter from a friendly Dromm. If you do, this effect persists until the end of the round or until another domain is played. He is giving up one of his 2 blood tithe counters to make that effect last for the entire round. And it's going from bad to worse for the Storm of Celestus. Aphis the Brave activated, has to do a charge action, so he moved down once he wasn't going to get caught in the support from Herix there. Tried to fire his great bow point blank range into the Gorehulk, and he whiffed. Didn't even get a success, was looking for hammers. So that is the unfortunate position he's in. However, in the power step, the concerted consolidation is being played. Up to 2 friendly fighters can be pushed, as long as they're in your territory, can be pushed 1 hex towards the nearest objective. It's just him being moved, and he is moving away, so he's not left point blank against 2 angry men. Nothing played for the Gorechosen in this power step, because they just played most of their hand in theirs. Great Bow block is also being put into play for this next activation. Play only in your power step. Each time a friendly fighter other than Sleek is dealt damage in the next activation, reduce the damage to 1. So that is a bit of extra protection for them. In play only for the next activation. There was an obvious solution to the conundrum the Gorechosen found themselves in. Oh, they get all damage done reduced to 1 unless they hit Sleek. Well, seems like an obvious solution. Skullgrinder Herix activated, he has to charge because of the Domain of Wrath, and he charged the bird, the Gryph-hound, and rolled a success and a crit, which is also obviously a success. He's looking for dodges, but even if he'd rolled a dodge, it would not have mattered. Even if he'd rolled the crit, it wouldn't have mattered. So that is 2 damage to Sleek, who now has 1 health left, and Great Bow block goes away, even though it was of no use. No cards played by either side off of the back of that. That is, however, Skullgrinder Herix's... Oh no, that's only his 2nd blood tithe token, so he's not inspired yet. Well, staring death down, Sleek knew he had to do something before inevitably getting removed at some point. He did a charge, because he has to, because of Domain of Wrath. He moved a mighty 4 hexes, and he went after Dromm, because Dromm's the only one in the enemy team that's wounded. He rolls 3 dice, he's only looking for swords though, so low chance of getting them. And case in point, the dice just are not being friendly today at all. And no successes, so nothing, and no cards played by either side either. Well, I don't think I've seen the Corn Boys as effective as they are today. Dromm activated, he had to charge because of Domain of Wrath. He did so, coming down in here, risking supports because he's adjacent to Melisson there. But he attacked Sleek, going for the kill. 2 dice looking for hammers, 1 success. Whiff defense roll. The bird dog is out of there for 1 glory, but essentially 2 glory because a potent offering has scored. Apparently Korn just really wanted that dog bird to die. Score this immediately after an enemy fighter is taken out of action if a domain gambit is persisting. It is indeed. And of all their unspent glory, of which they're up to 6 in total, 2 of which they've spent, they're spending another one on Wrath Incarnate and giving it to the Gorehulk as well, just continuing to buff him up. So depending on how many blood type counters he has cumulative benefits. If he has at least 1, he can't be driven back. 2, plus 1 move. 3, which he does have, plus 1 damage to his range 1, range 2 attack actions. So he can do 4 damage. Wow, they just cannot catch a break. Melisson activated, she has to charge, which is really annoying because that means she can't stay on an objective to get her benefit of plus 1 die for being inspired. But she chose to charge away from the death happening over here into enemy territory over by objective 1 there. Fired her great bow, got 1 success. Dromm blocked it. Never seen so many successful blocks. If this was the Nurgle team, they'd be avoiding so much extra damage by rolling all these blocks. In the power step, Distracting Shot is being played. Play this only in your power step, -1 die from the enemy fighter's attack actions in the next activation to a minimum of 1. Trying to protect poor Alphys over there, who's probably going to be the target. Has to be the Gorehulk who activates, and it has to be a charge. So this is the last activation of round 2 for the Gorechosen of Dromm, and it was the Gore Hulk. He had to charge. He went after Alphys, normally rolling 3 dice down to 2 because of distracting shot, and looking for swords. He got 1 success. It would have been 4 damage, which would have been an insta-kill, thanks to the Wrath Incarnate upgrade giving him +1 damage. But the crit was rolled on defense, and that means no damage. So Alphys survived by the skin of his teeth, and now he or Melisson get to activate. So of those two, Alphys was really the only one who could activate. They both charged and they both used their great bows, so they're reduced to melee, and they're not in melee, or Melisson isn't in melee range, so it had to be Alphys. 3 dice looking for swords for his shoulder barge. It would have had knockback 1 on it as well, though the Gore Hulk, who was his target, is immune to knockback now thanks to one of those upgrades. 3 dice, he got 1 success. The Gore Hulk blocked it. There's insane blocking percentages compared to how it usually goes. So no damage, and that takes us to the end phase of round 2. In the end phase of round 2, the Storm of Celestus are scoring nothing. They are just incredibly unlucky today. They're still sitting on, with a camera, a slight Batman angle, they are still sitting on 1 glory. The Gorechosen of Dromm are scoring 2 of their 3 cards. They actually would have scored all 3 if not for their own Domain of Wrath ruining it. So that cost them their whole hand, but hey, they're doing fine, so who can complain? They're scoring a Worthy Offering for 1 glory. Score this in end phase if your warband has 2 or more blood tithe counters. Between them all, they have 6. So, yep. And they're scoring Hack and Slash for 1 glory. Score this in the end phase if 2 or more successful attack actions were made during your activation in the previous phase. Gore Hulk was successful, and Skullgrinder Herix was successful. So that takes them up to 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 playing 1 as we go into the 3rd and final round is not looking good for the survivors of Storm of Celestus, but we'll still play it out to see what happens. As we begin the 3rd and final round, the Gorechosen of Dromm won the activation roll, and that proved fatal for Alphys because the Gore Hulk activated, rolled 3 dice for his choking grip, only got the 1 success, but Alphys couldn't even protect against that. 3 damage normally, but Wrath Incarnate and him having, well, 3 blood counters at the time, blood tithe counters at the time, now having 4, means he's doing +1 damage. So that is a 1 shot, and that's 4 damage. So that is 1 glory for the kill. Nothing else scored off of the back of that though. And now the Storm of Celestus are just down to Melisson. So she better start pulling her weight. Oh, it is worth pointing out though, something that was missed, and you may have noticed it yourself. She actually could have made it onto this objective in the previous turn. She did have +1 movement from Reconqueror upgrade that she had on her. Can't go back now to add in the extra die to see if it would have done anything, sadly, but we are going to count that she is starting her turn here. It might be too little too late, but at least she did something. Fired that great bow of hers, normally 2 dice up to 3 because she's inspired and standing on an objective. Got 3 successes, although they all would have been countered if Dromm's 1 defense die had been a crit. Thankfully it was not, so that is 2 more damage to the leader of the Gorechosen. He has 1 health remaining, and if he dies he is worth 2, but now she can't use her crossbow again, so it's going to be a little rough trying to get him. So Dromm was the second activation, and he retreated to the safety of Objective 5 in No Man's Land. In the power step they played Call of Blood. It's a prayer that only Dromm can use. You choose up to 2 fighters, so friend or foe. They get pushed 1 hex towards the closest enemy fighter, or if they have blood tithe counters, you can remove 1 to get pushed up to 2 hexes towards the nearest fighter from an enemy warband. So Skullgrinder Herix has been pushed 1 towards the other end of the table where Melisson is. The Gore Hulk gave up 1 of his blood tithe counters to be pushed 2 hexes towards her, just to try and provide a roadblock. Well, Melisson activated and did a move, and that's as far as she got. She technically could have charged, but, well, actually no, she couldn't have because she doesn't have range 2 on her basic attack, and she can't use her crossbow again, so I think move is only the legal action she's allowed to make. Either way, it does mean Dromm could just keep on wandering around the table. Like, Dromm could activate and do a movement action. He's moving 3, she's moving 4, but she still has to then use a different activation to actually be able to attack. Now, he'll finish moving before she does, if you know what I mean, because the Gorechosen are going first, so that means he'll finish his move, but she will not catch him. Like, he'll move as activation 3, she'll move, maybe get next to him as activation 3, his activation 4 will be to move away again, her activation 4 will be to move, so there's nothing she can do to catch him, to finish him off. Technically, yeah, instead the Gorehulk and Herrick could just try and kill her. If the Gorehulk lands a hit, she's dead. But technically, like, the best way to deny points is just to make sure Dromm doesn't die, and rather than to subject you to just a bunch of, move to chase, we're just going to call it there with a very clear winner and a very clear favoured team as far as dice luck go, because good grief, the poor Storm of Celestus, the dice just wanted them to lose. So at the end of the game, we're just going to keep the points as is. So 1 for the Storm of Celestus and 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 for the Gorechosen. But for the record, there would have been some scoring in a final activation phase. When Dromm did get hit there and didn't die with the crossbow shot from Melisson, actually should have scored up to 10 there by scoring Untouchable Fury. You take damage and don't die, it scores. So that technically should have been added onto there, so it should be 10-1. But he also would have scored Blood Claim in the final end phase for having that objective in No Man's Land, which would have taken them to 11. The poor Storm of Celestus, as I just finished saying, the dice were obviously not on their side. They had such an easy hand of cards to score, and they just couldn't. Point Blank didn't score for the entire game, which was just do your crossbow attack and have it succeed while adjacent to an enemy fighter. And it just never did. Well, Melisson managed to do damage with her crossbow twice. In round 1 when she wasn't point blank, and in round 3 when she wasn't point blank, and she was already inspired. But they apparently just couldn't do that. Technically, if she had survived just by them wasting activations moving around, they would have scored Shining Heroes in the end phase there for the last survivor being inspired. There's 1 point. If she'd managed to take out Dromm, would have got 2 for the kill plus a 3rd for Lightning Strike. It seemed like such an easy hand of cards to score. And yeah, the dice was just like, no, actually, no, you're not going to be able to do anything today. That's the most effective I've ever seen the Gorechosen of Dromm. Usually they just start dropping and can't, their tactic is basically just bulk the Gorehulk up with as many upgrades as you can. You've got to have glory to do that though. So either way, welcome back Warhammer Underworlds, and see you again in a while. This is just a once in a while thing since we are just playing the classic version, not the awful new version Games Workshop released, so it's just here whenever we feel like doing it. If you do like seeing it though, do let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching either way. Enjoy the rest of your evening? I went into Twitch mode there. I almost did my finishing stream in the evening blurb. What I meant to say was, enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you next time. Ta-ta for now.